Hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a good day, or at least a not terrible one. Um, this is going to be another journal with me, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my little channel or left some positive comments. I really appreciate it. And like I said in the last video, it kind of encourages me, just to keep creating content. Today, I'm gonna be doing a journal spread based around just some of the mundane goings on in my life and a postcard that some friends of ours sent us. It's actually from the friends who we hung out with last time I did a journal with me, the ones I was writing about where we had the Phantom of the Opera night. They were in Palm Springs, California, as you can see, and they sent us this adorable postcard. It actually got lost in the mail, so they sent it almost a month ago or about a month ago, and we didn't receive it until a couple of days ago. So a lot of that, I think, is attributed to just the United States Postal Service being extremely slow and the fact that I recently moved, so I think that there was a mix-up with the apartment number or something. But thankfully, I did get the card, and it fits perfectly into my traveler's notebook. As you can see, I can slot it in there perfectly with some washi tape. So I chose a cute little mushroom washi tape to stick it into my notebook, and I'm just putting it in the crease of the pages. Usually, if I have a full size postcard or any piece of paper that big, I'll just washi it in, um, tip it in, I guess people call it. You can just put it in the fold, that way it folds with the pages. Sometimes I do have pieces of paper that I put in my notebook that end up sticking out, but as long as I can still close the notebook, it's fine. Sticky notes there to cover that the address. Definitely don't wanna broadcast that. Um, I'm struggling a little bit with the washi to get it to stick directly on the card and not stick to itself before I can stick it to the paper. But the thing about washi that I really love is that even though sometimes, it sticks in the wrong spot or it'll stick to itself, you can just peel it off and put it back down. It's generally pretty, I guess, resilient to being handled multiple times or stuck in different spots multiple times. I don't really know what they use to make washi tape or what kind of adhesive they use, but I wish all tape was as versatile as washi because you can generally use it multiple times. And in my opinion, that just prevents a lot of waste. I actually have in this journal with me a little book of stickers that my mother gifted me. They're vintage stickers. I'm not really sure where she got them from. I think it was from Amazon because it had like one of those Amazon stickers, the ones that kind of have the little barcode. So I'm assuming she got it on Amazon, but I really cannot tell you what store she got it from. I think she probably may have gone on Amazon and just typed in vintage stickers because I know that she knows that that's typically the kinds of stickers that I use in my notebooks because those are the ones that kind of are the most aesthetically pleasing to me to look at. I do like other styles of stickers once in a while. I'll use like kind of pop themed ones or colorful ones, but I generally don't like to use stickers that are extremely colorful because I get overstimulated looking back through my own pages because even though these inserts don't last me as long as one from Sterling Ink would, I do still tend to flip back through my pages a lot just to kind of get a sense of where I am in time because I often have really severe brain fog, and my notebook helps me to kind of remember where I am in the week or what's even happened during the week because if I don't write things down, sometimes I'll look back and I just am drawing a blank. I'm not remembering what happened throughout the week. So I don't tend to make my notebooks extremely, extremely colorful because it does get annoying flipping through my own pages and just being blasted with colors. From time to time, I don't mind some pops of color, but I generally try to stay away from my notebooks being a blast of rainbow colors, although I have seen other people's notebooks who look like that, and they're absolutely beautiful and fantastic to look at, but it just doesn't really work for me. I did like this little book of stickers that she bought. I'm not really sure, again, where she got them from, but, I think they have, like, a little sticker on the back that says "Made in China," which I'm assuming because sometimes when I get stickers from Daiso or other, Japanese manufacturers or companies, they'll have little quotes on them that are kind of, I guess, mistranslated. I'm assuming it said like, originally it said something else, and then it was translated, but it doesn't quite make sense, and it's kind of like a little word salad jumble of words, which I don't mind either because it's just there for aesthetic purposes, it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. But I wanted to add a couple of little kind of tags, and I did like the texture of these stickers. I'm not sure what sort of material these stickers are called. Um, they're not the paper stickers, like the ones that are solid, kind of just glossy paper, and they're not the ones that are plastic. These kind of have the consistency of washi tape, but I can't really think of the name of what that paper is called. It's escaping me right now. But these are my favorite kinds of stickers to use because they're very forgiving of being handled. Like I was saying about the washi tape earlier, they don't tend to absorb the oils from your hands too easily and just get ruined if you touch the back, the sticky area of it a couple of times. I pulled one out that I was going to layer on top of this other little tag sticker, and I wanted to cut the white edges off. That is something that kind of bothers me with stickers sometimes when they have a very wide white edge from where the sticker was cut or the machine cut around the sticker. Um, I generally don't cut it off all of my stickers because the notebook paper that I'm using is fairly white and you can't tell that it's there. But when I'm layering a sticker, I usually cut around the edges to remove that portion because it kind of makes it look really strange to have one sticker on top of the other, and then there's this really thick white border. So I tend to just cut it off because it just looks better in my opinion. So I was just using a little hand clip types sticker. I thought it was really cute and it looked like the hand clip that I'm currently using to hold the notebook open. The notebook has a lot of what I would consider Tim Holtz inspired sticker designs. It's just a lot of like ephemera and just old kind of, it looks like just old papers or labels for products that were sold back in the day, random found objects like keys and clock gears, which I love that. That's one of my favorite kinds of aesthetics is just when something looks like super old, you feel like you're in a antique store or you're in a museum, you know? So, I was just adding little, layers of stickers and different things. I think one of the ones that I stuck on the left of the page, on the left-hand page was kind of like a medicine label or a product label, and then I was trying to find a place for this cute moth. but I decided not to layer it on the, tag because I didn't wanna have to cut around it, 'cause it is kind of hard to cut around these types of textured stickers because they're so thin that I always worry about accidentally tearing them when I'm cutting around the white border. Other stickers tend to hold up better, to that sort of, I guess, tampering. So, I was just looking through my washi. I felt that I'd pretty much gotten everything I wanted to get on the page, but I was missing one thing, and it was a strip of coffee-themed washi because, of course, I love coffee, and I wanted to kinda incorporate this one. I got this washi tape at Daiso as well, and it's so cute. It has these little vintage kind of coffee labels, and they're all just kind of strung together next to each other, and it's so adorable. So, I thought that fit the theme really well, and I decided to stick that in there. I wish that I'd had a bit more space to use some of the ephemera that my friends got me when they were in Palm Springs. They gave me some beautiful old photographs that they'd found at, I think it was an antique store or a yard sale. I always think it's really interesting how people's family photos or their photos going back, for generations. I think these photos specifically were from the 1950s, and they depict a family and sisters. They're like portrait type photos, 1950s or 40s, I would assume. But I always think it's interesting how people's personal effects and their photographs of their family end up in places like antique stores or um, kind of like thrift stores where just any random stranger can purchase them because I consider family photos very personal, and I sometimes feel, I guess, a little sad when I see just the buckets of photos at my local antique mall because I just assume that whoever inherited them after the people in the photographs had passed probably didn't consider them to be of sentimental value, at least not enough to hold on to them, and that's how they ended up where they were. But I do like purchasing bits of ephemera like that and kind of giving them a new life in my notebooks, even though I don't really know who the person in the photo is. So I might end up using some of those the next time I do a journal with me video because that's something that I like to do in my notebooks is just kind of use different scraps and bits of ephemera that are actual real bits of ephemera from someone else's life and just kind of give them a second life. And even though I don't really know who it is in the photo, I'll just kind of make up a little story surrounding it. um, Sorry, I had to cut myself off because I'm going on a tangent. I always end up doing that. My thoughts just all connect to each other, and I end up running away on a different subject that has nothing to do with the video. But here I'm just kind of writing about the things that have been going on this week. Like I said, it's been pretty much a quiet week. I mean, I guess most people would consider it boring, as is most of the things I do in my life. But I still write about kind of what's going on with me internally, just to keep track of my symptoms and the small things I do end up doing for future reference. I only really went out of the house one time. That was yesterday. I had gone to the store with my husband because he was adding me to his cell phone plan, and we ended up just leaving the store because we found we could do it online. And then we went to the PetSmart because my cat Wednesday, as you can see the beginning of the video, she's very assertive about what she wants. And if she's not getting it, she'll start breaking things or at least trying to break them. She has a habit of throwing a little tantrum if we don't give her her wet cat food at 5 o'clock in the morning on the dot. And if we don't give her a can of wet cat food every morning at 5 a.m., she will come in our bedroom and jump on our bedside tables. Both me and my husband have a bedside table on each side of the bed, and she'll go and just start throwing things on the floor, like my water bottle or the lamp, anything. She'll start swiping things on the floor. Good thing we have carpet, so we haven't had anything break, but it is kind of annoying, if you're trying to sleep and you just hear things crashing. And then when that doesn't work, she'll go in the bathroom and start knocking things off the bathroom counter. So we had run out of wet cat food. So you can imagine the fit she was throwing yesterday morning. She was so angry the entire day. And I waited until my husband got home because we had that other errand to run. So after that, we went to the PetSmart and we went to get her wet cat food, and we got her new little cardboard scratcher. Um, she absolutely loves those. Those are her favorite kind. I've bought her different kinds before, but she always ends up breaking them somehow, which you would think that she would be more likely to break a cardboard one, but the cardboard ones seem to be more durable to her clawing at them. Of course, she does shred bits of cardboard off of them, but I end up just easily sweeping that up, throwing it out. Whereas the ones made of fabric, she always ends up ripping them somehow. So we got her little cardboard scratcher, which she really loved. She immediately attacked it when we got home. She got her wet food and she stopped trying to destroy the house. She's very spoiled, as I would assume most pets who are an only child are. Wednesday wasn't always an only child. I actually, when I was living with my sister had another cat, and her name was Mochi. So she was the typical fluffy orange cat that had two brain cells that were being shared with all the other orange cats. So she was very much the opposite of Wednesday. Wednesday is very grumpy and very skittish and suspicious of people unless she knows them. And her main hobbies include sleeping and eating, and that's pretty much all she likes to do, unless she's letting her violence out on the furniture or something else that she's not supposed to be breaking. My sister's cat was the complete opposite. She was a little ball of sunshine. She loved to be cuddled. She was purring almost constantly. I don't think I've ever known her cat to not be purring, and it's very loud. It's like she has a little motor running inside of her. So, I miss Mochi, but I don't think Wednesday does, because Wednesday and her were always, doing the typical little slap fighting that cats do and chasing each other up and down the stairs. So, ever since I've moved in with my husband and she's now the only child, she has been very, very, very spoiled because she's the only one getting attention, and now she's not just getting attention from me, she's getting attention from my husband. So, we had that errand to run yesterday, and after that, we ended up going to Five Below, but we couldn't stay very long because, once again, I started to feel ill, and it's such an annoyance, it's such an inconvenience when you have chronic health issues because you'll just be trying to do basic things like chores or running errands, and even doing those things is a challenge. So when we were at the Five Below, we went to see if we could find some little, fidget items or something. Sometimes we'll go, me and him once in a while to see if we can find any little $5 um, item to kind of treat ourselves with our $5 items. Um, and we weren't there very long, but I think it was just because the music was so loud. It was so loud, and the lights in the stores, well, most any store are gonna be fluorescent lights, but I don't know why, for some reason, Five Below is very overstimulating. The lights are so bright, and the music is usually some kind of pop music or something, it's blasting, and there happened to be a lot of people when we were there because we went after he got off work. So, we weren't there for very long, and then we just kinda had to leave because I got a migraine and I started sweating and feeling like I was gonna pass out, and I was like, "Oh, we have to leave." Um, so we just kinda checked out our 2 little items that we got. I had gotten a slime and he got some other, it was like one of those, viral, squishy, like, stress ball things. It's like a, it looks like a big block of cheese, and it has some kind of slime or clay inside of it. It's so weird looking. It looks like a, just a giant cube of cheese, but it's very satisfying to squish. So we got that, and we came home and we just ended up kind of relaxing for the rest of the evening, watching Murder, She Wrote. But yeah, that was pretty much the only thing I've done this week. Like I said, not very interesting. Um, Whenever I'm going through periods of just feeling really unwell, like I have the past few weeks, I've just been kind of struggling with a lot of symptoms. Um, I really don't do much, which means I don't really write as much as I usually tend to, and that's okay. I do creative writing as well. I'm actually working on a novel, which I have been working on for the past year and a half. Um, I've only written about 150 or 160 pages so far, but it is a sci-fi romantasy novel that I have been working on for the longest time because it's just kind of a passion project. I hope to publish it one day whenever it's finished, but it just kind of, I guess life kind of gets in the way, and, projects like that that I have going on just kind of get away from me. I have a lot of other things that I've done on the side related to the novel, like I've made playlists for the main characters, I've done illustrations of the main characters, and all of this stuff is kinda half finished, like I said. I'm still struggling to find a way to finish the 3rd act of the book, and the 4th act kinda leading up to the end of the book. I'm not really sure how I want to end it. I don't know if I want to make it a series of books because I'm planning to add a plot twist in near the end of the book that kind of leaves it open for a second novel, though it won't be a cliffhanger because I hate it when books do that. But that's pretty much the only things that I've been working on lately, and my journal channel, which I consider this more of kind of little hobby, um, and just something I do to kind of relax myself. I find making videos and content creation something that kinda helps me forget about everything that's going on, whether it be out in the world or in my own life, in my own head. But I do have to remind myself that I will accomplish things in my own time. I just have to be patient. It's hard not to compare yourself to other people, especially when you are someone who's considered, I guess, sort of a late bloomer. I think a lot of people who have ADHD or who have autism fall into that category, especially those of us who never got the support that we needed or a diagnosis until we were adults. And I just kind of have to constantly remind myself that I'm doing things at my own pace, not because I'm choosing not to do things that I could be doing more quickly. You know that saying, "Don't leave things for tomorrow that you can do today?" Well, I quite literally have to leave things for tomorrow sometimes because I'll often get overambitious with my creative projects or my, um, other obligations like, household chores, errands, things that I have to do, and I'll, on a good day where I have a bit more energy, be like, "Yeah, I can do all this stuff," not realizing that, my energy will drain extremely quickly compared to somebody who does not have a bunch of health problems, and I'll get halfway through whatever I'm trying to do and feel absolutely trashed, but I'm very stubborn, so I'll be like, "No, I'm gonna keep going, fine." And then I will have to subsequently spend an entire week trying to recover, like, not being able to go anywhere, not being able to do anything. I have done this so many times, and I do it to myself. Nobody's giving me deadlines. I just put these deadlines on myself. I make them up in my own head because dealing with neurodivergent burnout is so difficult because I when I was younger, I used to push through the discomfort or the exhaustion because I figured everybody else was doing the same thing. I was like, "Well, everybody else must be tired. Everybody else must be exhausted and overstimulated, and they're just pushing through, so I should be able to too." Not realizing that everyone else was not, in fact, pushing through those things. And before you know it, I ended up in a state of neurodivergent burnout. And this has happened to me so many times over the years, but I never knew what it was until I got diagnosed because I just always thought that there was some other thing wrong with me. I was like, why can I not just like ignore how exhausted I am and stop getting sick and just continue on? Which is something I would not recommend um to anybody, neurodivergent or not, because that is how you end up with chronic lifelong health issues. And I just hope that even though things are really rough right now, I hope that everybody can find kind of a place of peace, even if it's just for a few minutes every day. That's kind of what my notebooks are for me. Life is often chaotic and just stressful. So that's kind of what my notebooks are, a place of quiet peace, or at least where I can let all my thoughts spiral out so that there's not so much noise inside my head. And even if you don't write or you don't have a notebook, I just think everybody should have some kind of hobby or something that helps them to quiet the noise. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I actually don't even write in my notebooks every single day. I used to when I was younger, and I used them as a coping mechanism to get through intense the intense anxiety and distress I was feeling every day because I was so dysregulated. I used to write in my notebook every single day because it was the only place that I considered safe to let that stress out, especially when I was a child. But I don't tend to write in my notebooks every day, at least not now, because, like I said, there hasn't been much going on. I've just kind of been trying to keep my health in check and kind of do the things that I need to do. And generally, those things aren't super interesting. But when I do write in my notebook, I do like to kind of summarize what has been going on. Say it's been a week since I've written in it. I'll kind of summarize what's been going on throughout the week just to keep a record for myself. But I don't think that journaling is something that you should force yourself to do at any given moment because you never want your journaling to feel like a chore because that would defeat the entire purpose of it. I think it's something that is sort of meditative practice, and if you feel like you're being forced to do it, you sort of don't really get the benefit of feeling like a weight has been taken off your shoulders or feeling like you have been able to vent or relax during the process because you're just focused on feeling forced and trying to finish it as quickly as possible. And I don't think that that's really beneficial when it comes to journaling. I know that sometimes people feel like they have to do a certain habit every day, but if it's something creative, you can't really force creativity. You can't force inspiration. And sometimes I'll go several days without feeling any sort of urge to write, especially if there hasn't been much going on and I've been housebound because I just feel like I'm stuck in Groundhog Day. Every day is just repeating itself over and over. Unless something that I deem important to document has happened, I generally don't tend to journal every single day. I will use my notebook every single day to keep track of my errands and my bills, chores, things like that in my planner section of the notebook. But as far as the journal, I don't tend to do that every single day. At this point, I finished with the journal entry in the video, and I'm actually decorating the cover because, like I said, I didn't have that many stickers that I found that would match the cover very well, kind of the vibe that I was going for, until my mom gifted me this little book of stickers, and there was a bunch of them in there that I thought would go really well on the cover, give it that kind of vintage, um, kind of found media, um, found what is it, mixed media look, just different little items. So I was just flipping through the pages trying to find things that would work on the cover. But there is a little bit more to this video. If you're interested in watching my process for decorating the cover, then of course, by all means, stick around. And I'm probably going to add a little bit of background music like I did the last time. I think there's probably, I'd say, 15, 14 minutes left on the video. So it does take me a little bit to decorate the cover because I'm kind of doing trial and error with some of the stickers to see if they match the look that I'm going for. But I am going to sign off, and I wish everybody to have another wonderful week. If not wonderful, at least not terrible. And thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you all next time. Bye.